They can use degrading comments. They can say things to you that basically bring you down, make you feel really bad about yourself, like you're not a generous or loyal person. They can use sarcasm, making it sound like it's a joke, but they're really not. They can use the silent treatment. The silent treatment is absolutely a way to punish you through guilt. Listing your mistakes. Many times people, when you make one mistake, they'll go back and give you a whole list of past mistakes so that you will feel guilty, like you are failing them in a relationship and as a person. They may make you feel guilty by favors. They may say, well, I did this for you 2 years ago. I can't believe you won't do this for me.
Have you ever felt like you deserved something in return for all the sacrifices you've made? Some of us use guilt as a tool, saying things like, after everything I've done for you, the least you could do is vote for my candidate. It's an attempt to build a sense of obligation, implying that casting a vote is a way to repay favors or show appreciation. While guilt tripping may momentarily compel someone to comply, the long-term impact is damaging. It creates a sense of indebtedness, where the other person feels like they owe their partner something just to maintain peace. This dynamic doesn't foster genuine support. It fosters compliance out of fear. We have a tendency to see our sacrifices as leverage, as though we are entitled to something in return. But voting isn't about settling emotional debts. It's about making an informed and personal choice. When we make someone feel guilty for exercising their democratic right, we're prioritizing control over freedom.
It can be used in a way that you are manipulating your partner and your main source or vice is using guilt trips. But in a real sense, when you're married or when you're with someone a long time, everybody will use some sort of guilt. They'll use that during one part or a small part of a conflict, of a struggle between the couple. So I can't say it's really abusive because it's not abusive all the time. It's quite natural. But when you use it exclusively because you know it works and you know it hurts your partner, then I would say it would err on the abuse side. And what happens if you are with someone who does guilt trip more than you would like? Well, the first thing is identifying what sort of guilt is motivating you or really getting at you. Is it moral guilt where they try to tell you something you're doing is immoral, like maybe with sexuality, they'll say, oh, that's immoral, or we never did that, or, that's really nasty or whatever. Those kinds of things can make you feel bad. Sympathy seeking. A lot of people will use guilt as a way of getting sympathy. Well, you would help me out and you have so much more than me. So they'll try to gain your sympathy and get your guilt going that way. Manipulation, and this is the type that's abusive. They'll try to manipulate it with you. You should know better. I can't believe you did that. You'll see that sometimes with parenting. And although it may not be used in an abusive form of manipulation, it is a tactic like that. And avoiding conflict. A lot of times when there should be an honest discussion about something, one of the partners will use a guilt trip. Well, I was having a bad day. You know how it was for me. I felt like I had the whole world on my shoulders. And rather than them coming to the table and telling you the truth, I failed, I broke a promise, they will use guilt as a way to get back into your good graces. So how do you know if you're in a relationship with someone who uses guilt as a primary source of motivation to get what they want? Well, there's several forms. They can use degrading comments. They can say things to you that basically bring you down, make you feel really bad about yourself, like you're not a generous or loyal person. They can use sarcasm, making it sound like it's a joke, but they're really not. They can use the silent treatment. The silent treatment is absolutely a way to punish you through guilt. Listing your mistakes. Many times people, when you make one mistake, they'll go back and give you a whole list of past mistakes so that you will feel guilty, like you are failing them in a relationship and as a person. They may make you feel guilty by favors. They may say, well, I did this for you 2 years ago. I can't believe you won't do this for me. It's a small favor. They'll work a way that, once again, they're twisting the truth to get you to do what they want. They may keep tabs on what you owe. A lot of monetary couples that struggle with money, they will actually tit for tat over finances and say, well, last month I helped you out. This month, especially if they're not married or they don't have a committed relationship or a joint account, that's a real form of manipulation that is used frequently. They display passive aggressive thoughts, or assertions, saying something like, they won't tell you outright what they want, but at the same time, they let it be known. They may roll their eyes or, leave something out that you specifically had asked them to put away just because they're mad at you and they can't tell you. And then you will reflect and go, oh my gosh, I should have done that for them. They feel bad about it. And they let me know passive aggressively. They may introduce guilty body language like sigh or slam a door, something that makes you feel bad about the decision you made. They may ignore you. And once again, this would kind of go with silent treatment, but they may just be talking to you and a friend and all of a sudden cut you out completely with eye contact, ignoring you totally because they're mad, because they want you to feel bad about something you said or did, but they weren't courageous enough to step up and tell you directly. They may make indirect comments. And this is once again kind of the cowardly form of trying to make you feel guilty over something.
Have you ever found yourself using guilt as a tactic? Guilt tripping is a manipulative tactic, often used in relationships, but it can also be seen in political or social situations. The coercer will use past sacrifices or favors to make the person feel indebted or obligated to comply with their requests. This can create a sense of guilt and obligation, making the person feel like they owe the coercer and they must do as they say. It could be a powerful tool in persuading someone to vote a certain way or make a decision that benefits the coercer. This tactic can be highly effective as it preys on the person's sense of morality and desire to do the right thing. By implying that not voting in a certain way is a betrayal or a lack of appreciation for past sacrifices, the coercer is able to manipulate the person into feeling guilty and complying with their demands. This can be a dangerous tactic, as it can lead to people making decisions against their own beliefs and values, simply out of a sense of guilt and obligation. It is important to be aware of this tactic and not let guilt tripping influence our decisions.
What should you do if you're on the receiving end? I think the most important thing is that you speak up. You tell them, listen, I don't appreciate this. When you try to make me feel guilty, I have a very good conscience. I'm very clued in to what you're saying, and it really bothers me. And then I would practice with them what you would prefer that they do, what you would prefer they say, and how they act. And lastly, I would suggest counseling. And the reason is, therapists are very good at seeing when someone uses this as a main tactic. And you may say, Mary Jo, how do they learn this? They learn it from a parent. And usually, I've never met a guilt tripper, someone who specifically does it, like as a form of motivation, that didn't have a parent who was a master at it. And therapists can see through that, and they'll usually suggest, I don't think you're being exactly honest. And the guilt tripper will not like that, but they will ask about it. They'll be curious, and the therapist will say, I've noticed you do these behaviors under the radar as a way of getting back at your partner or making them feel guilty, and that's not really being honest in the relationship. That's kind of sneaking around to get what you want. Therapy is also really good at helping the guilt tripper become aware of these tactics and how they learn them, and then minimizing them by giving them other suggestions. And most of those suggestions are, you need to use your words and you need to say up front directly what you need in the future.
Instead of manipulating through past favors, let's build trust and respect by honoring each person's right to make their own informed choices. Are you tired of seeing manipulation and coercing the vote instead of truth and integrity? It's time to take a stand. It's time to reclaim the power of choice and the freedom to vote based on your values, not out of fear, guilt, or pressure. If you're ready to activate your gift of discernment and build the courage to see through manipulation, I challenge you to join my 7-day Got Discernment challenge. In this challenge, we'll uncover the tactics used to control and coerce. And I'll equip you with the tools to confidently make decisions that align with your convictions, free from manipulation. But that's not all. Dive even deeper with my must-read resources, Discernment for Dummies and Deceivers, the guidebook. This book will guide you step by step through the process of identifying deception and empowering yourself to make informed, courageous choices in all areas of your life. So are you ready to break free from the chains of manipulation and become the discerning, empowered person you were meant to be? Click the link to join the challenge, grab your books, and start the journey today. Let's build a future where your voice is your own, your vote is your power, and your life is aligned with your truth.
Let's activate